Yo, this is WSoul13 bringing you Raid Shadow Legends, and today we're going to be looking at how Demytha can enable Stalwart set, right, for your team if you have enough sustain about it. So, this is my Geomancer comp that I've been using. It's lasting 50 turns, right? And Fane, unfortunately, dies a little bit early. You know, like, I think turn 40 was when she went down. But Demytha brings so much healing into the comp and that extra shield that I'm able to last the 50 turns. So it's kind of like a budget unkillable light team, you know. So these are numbers you could easily get with budget unkillable, right? But instead of using Demytha, Under Priest Bogni, Geomancer, the big change here is I put Geomancer on Stalwart set. Just experiment, see what happens. So most builds with the Brognimancer that doesn't have unkillable on it would use Stalwart set. So that's actually a really common thing that people do. Problem is getting the right kind of sustain around your team, right? So yeah, you need to have decreased attack on all the time, and then you also need to. So there's a little bit of luck in that run, obviously, because Fane was my main decreased attack champ in that comp. She goes down in turn 40, so the backup was Iron Brago. I think has a 75% chance or something of landing that decreased attack. Let's take a quick look. It's this skill right here. It's the A3. And it's a 50% booked up to 75, and then if I put on Sniper, no, I did not, so I don't have Sniper on him. So yeah, this can go up to a 75%, an 80% with Sniper, right? But usually, if I'm building Iron Brago, I want him on the defense tree because of the extra defense and the extra damage mitigation that the defense tree gives you. And with Demytha, you don't really need, because you get that extra turn of unkillable. So Demytha does give a kind of one turn unkillable, right? So on the one turn unkillable, you get to skip that AoE, which means you only need decreased attack to be on the boss for 2 turns, right? So if you can find a way to get that 2-turn duration decreased attack onto the boss, whether it comes from a 100% source or multiple almost 100% sources like 75%, twice the hit, you know, the way I do with Rear Guard and Iron Brago on the team, right? So let's take a look at Geomancer, and just to show you how big a change it was from my old Geomancer build, all right? Check this out. I put Geomancer on Stalwart and Perception. So when you're building any kind of debuffer for clan boss, Ultra Nightmare levels, right? First of all, you want the defense up. So the defense is a little bit low. So the magic number you're looking for, I think, for clan boss is 3,500. That was before they figured out, oh, if we tack on increased defense buff and ally protection buff, the number could actually be a lot lower, like 2,700 for some people. You know, 2,700 can get you a decent amount of turns on Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss with ally protection and increased defense buff on. I don't know if they've factored strengthen in with that as well, but for sure, those 2 buffs on ally protect and increased defense, 2,700 is good enough to get you a lot of turns. I'm talking like 30 plus to 40 turns, right, on the Clan Boss. I don't have Ally Protect on the comp because I took Sandlash away. Sandlash was the one giving me the Ally Protect on that comp. Instead, I'm giving Demytha there, which allows me to skip a turn and just recover the health with Demytha's heals and, you know, along the way, basically. So instead of Ally Protect, I put Geomancer, just Geomancer. Brogni is still on the same build on Stalwart gear. And 50k HP, 3k depth, and 3.2-ish. And then 230 plus accuracy. So accuracy has to be. And then keeping him on that. Sorry. Let's go back real quick. And I'm keeping him on that 171 to 179 pocket because that's the exact speeds that gets you a 1-to-1 ratio on Ultra Nightmare, Nightmare, and Brutal, I think. So, why did I do this? I did this because I just wanted to see how big a difference Stalwart would do on just Geomancer, right? So, I haven't done Under Priest Brogni yet, so that's another big upgrade for me later down the line. But the thing is, with Force Affinity, so my weakest affinity with the Brognimancer comp is Magic. I keep saying Nightmare in my other videos, ignore that. I meant to say Magic Affinity. So under Magic Affinity, that's my weakest for my version of Brognimancer. It's because I'm using Iron Brago and Fane as my two supporting champs, right? To do my other roles, which is damage and then damage mitigation. So decrease attack from Fane, and then increase defense from Iron Brago, and the passive increased defense. So I got an increased defense buff and then a passive increased defense from Iron Brago, right? So with that build, since they're both Spirit Affinity, and then Sandlash was my buff extension, another Spirit Affinity champ. Magic Affinity Ultra Nightmare, usually with that comp, I rarely get a clean 3-key. They just end up dying really early because the decreased attack has a hard time sticking, which is why I've been using like wonky little substitution guys until I figured out like Demytha and Rearguard Sergeant fixed my Magic Affinity matchup for me. So the next one that I had a hard time consistently 2-keying, but I could 3-key really easy, is Spirit Affinity. So with Spirit Affinity, Fane loses her, they call that affinity advantage versus Force. So Force for me is the easiest because I got 3 Spirit champs and they just get their affinity advantage and they can last heck along like 40 plus turns, easy, almost 50 turns sometimes. No problem. And I deal a lot of damage. I deal somewhere between like 40 to 45 mil damage per key there. So the 2-key is super easy. But against Spirit, I rarely get the 2-key. It's because Fane gets the neutral, and then Fane is really squishy. So if I were to improve this next, I would look to get Fane into a Stalwart set, right? So trying to see if I can get Fane into a Stalwart set to kind of like mimic that extra Ally Protect ability, even though Ally Protect would be better. So if I had if I could somehow find a way to get Ally Protect into the team and keep it the same, Fane will probably last that extra 10 turns longer, right? So that's it. I'm trying to get Fane to last the 50 turns and get the solid 2-key anywhere I go. But honestly, I might not need to, just the way it's built right now. I might just be better off because I already get the solid 2-key here with this team. I might just be better off just kind of like building another champ for the Magic Affinity matchup just to shore that up a little bit more. I'm thinking putting Duke the Pierce there, or maybe getting Rearguard Sergeant into Retaliation gear. One of the two I think will improve those teams, right? So let's take a quick look at Clan Boss. So you saw the damage I dealt right there, right? I think I dealt somewhere like 40 million, 45 million. I think it was 45 million, right? Where is WSoul 13? Here's WSoul 13. So 45 million minus 78 million. Was it 45 or something? I think it was 46 or 47, whatever. I remember I dealt about 30 million damage before I put Stalwart gear on Geomancer, right? So in the Brognimancer build, if you guys need a refresher on why it's so good, is because if you build Geomancer and Under Priest Brogni correctly, like they last the appropriate amount of turns, they deal a lot of damage. I'm talking like straight a lot of damage. You saw there. I think the Geomancer dealt like 19 million, and then Under Priest Brogni dealt like 11, 12 million. So if they last appropriate amount of turns, they deal a lot of damage, yo. That's why they're so good, right? And Geomancer was dying early in the Spirit matchup, obviously because of the bad affinity, right? Just put him on Stalwart, and he lasted the 50 turns. Granted, I stick that decrease attack, so Fane will probably need to last that long as well. But I'm thinking that if Geomancer and Fane can stick around the relatively same number of turns, like even just at turn 40, not necessarily turn 50, I think I deal enough damage there to get my 35 million for the 2 key. So it's going to be like a solid 2 key, but I think there's a legitimate maybe like 5-10% chance I don't get the 2 key if I don't put Fane and Stalwart gear. So that's really the next kind of like thing I have to do to make the comp a little bit better. But overall, Demytha is not Godseeker and Eerie level. I think Godseeker and Eerie just deals so much more damage than Demytha does, and the healing thing. But she gives me an extra turn every rotation, you know? So I don't have to worry about that slam, and I just need to take one slam. So as long as, so one of the reasons why people die in their unkillable comps is because they can take one slam, but they don't recover enough health to take the second slam. So now I get to skip one of the slams, and I get to recover. And the slam I usually skip is the second slam because I'm going like one cycle short, right? So I'm skipping a turn because my speeds are low. So I get to skip the second slam, which means I have the second slam plus the stun turn to recover my life, to get them up to full, so I resist the first, so I can survive the first slam. That's literally how the comp is built. It's pretty easy, I think. Speeds are easy to get, 171 and 179. Those are easy speeds to get. And the champs are all champs that you could have gotten this year on the Priest Brogni, Geomancer, and then Demytha, right? So I'm just kind of like fulfilling the prophecy, if you will, you know, of the F2P low spender path, playing this year through the fusion events. I'm going to be trying to do the same thing next year as well. You know, like Iron Brago is the first fusion we got this year, right? So if you look at the team, it's a team of fusion champs plus a DPS decrease attack champ, you know. So the decrease attack champ is the tricky one to get because there's no guaranteed way to get the decrease attack champ, but they did offer up a lot of different decrease attack champs during the fusion events this year. So one of them was actually Iron Brago. He gives a decrease attack. So we're going to try to do this same thing again next year, right? So next year, we're going to try to build a Ultra Nightmare capable clan boss team strictly from the fusion events. Possible? I don't know. Fusion events / guaranteed champ events / free champs, you know. So really, what I'm trying to reinforce here for people that play Raid is you gotta diamond hand those shards, bro. Once you diamond hand those shards, right, you can save up for the guaranteed champ events. You can get someone like Geomancer. Or you could have enough shards to open up to get through the really hard but really powerful fusion events. Demytha is one of them. Under Priest Brogni is the other, right? So between the two of them, you needed, I think, more than 11,000 points worth of shards to get both of them, right? What does that mean? 11,000 divided by 500, which is roughly 12 sacred shards? 22 is the answer, actually. Yeah, 22 sacred shards. That's a lot of sacred shards, right? It doesn't mean you're pulling straight sacred shards during these events because there's champ chase where you can mitigate the points, you know. So realistically, maybe half of that would be sacred shards. Now you're looking at 11 sacred shards. Now 11 sacred shards to get Demytha and Under Priest Brogni seems a heck of a lot more reasonable, doesn't it? Right? That's what I'm trying to tell you. So we're going to try to play this out next year and see what happens, right? But for now, we're going to be fulfilling the prophecy and we're going to be building a solid 2 to 3 key Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss team that can also 1 key Nightmare and 1 key Brutal, right? See how I like that.